Welcome to another morning episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. For tuning in live, and I especially thank you for giving me your time so early. You know, Imagine, if you will, violent conflict over 6,000 miles away, stirring drama in your own city. Well, imagine no more. I shift my attention this morning from discussing international politics to local drama over international politics. Life is never short a drama king or a queen. All right. So this morning will be fun. We're going to talk about some local stuff here in Jacksonville, kind of mesh that in with a bit of a bill review in a sense. You might recall, anybody that's watched this show or listen, they know that I like to do bill reviews where I just read a bill and then just kind of talk about it from a very lay perspective. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trained in any way other than simply reading and interpreting what words say on a piece of paper. So that's what I'll be doing this morning and turning some attention on local matters here. Very interesting. Let's see, get all this stuff up here. A little logo up there. Okay, we are in good shape. Things are ready to go. So recently, Jacksonville City Council passed a resolution. Now, they did this on October 10th, and this resolution went to support Israel. So we're gonna read through this resolution, and but first I'm gonna share a news clip just so we can kind of get the lay on what's going on here. Kind of start building up this story toward the end. We're gonna get to that drama in just a moment, but for right now, let's get a little bit of handle on this. There we go. Awesome. So let's play this clap. This clip. This clip comes from News for Jax. So here we go.
The Jacksonville City Council passed an emergency resolution last night saying the city of Jacksonville mourns the loss of life and unequivocally stands with Israel as it defends itself. The vote passed 16-1. The lone no vote came from Council President Ron Salem. Well, Salem did not explain why he voted no. We can tell you, though, that his parents immigrated to Jacksonville from Ramallah in the 1940s. Ramallah is a Palestinian city in the West Bank, which is north of Jerusalem. Salem's father was the first president of Jacksonville's American Federation of Ramallah. Other council members did not say much about the emergency resolution, but several people did speak before the meeting in support of the Palestinian people.
Resistance is a human right. Palestine has the right to resist. If Ukraine does it, they're freedom fighters. But if we do it, we're terrorists. We're animals. To call it a conflict is to insinuate equal footing. Only one group of people is living in an open air prison.
This thing that's happened on a holiday where Jews in Israel celebrate with great joy the fact they have a country and a nation. And like CARE and a whole bunch of other places, repeatedly they say, we want to push Israel into the ocean.
There were no speakers during public comment there to speak in support of Israel. Before the meeting, Mayor Donna Deegan released a statement, and it reads in part, "I strongly condemn the terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel during this past Holy Weekend for the Jewish faith. I also mourn the loss of civilian Palestinian lives."
All right. So that's what's going on now. When the video says it was last night, this was again actually October 10th. So this news is a little bit old. But what brought my attention to this was a tweet, which I'll show you the tweet in a little bit. But let's kind of back up a little bit. What is a resolution exactly? Now, if you're familiar with politics, you pay attention to government, you probably already know. If you're not, if you don't pay attention to politics so much, then you may not be quite so familiar. Like, what is the difference between, say, an ordinance and a resolution and a law and a bill and all these other terms, right? So we're going to go over that right now. What is a resolution? Well, it's a motion adopted by a deliberative body deliberative, meaning like, say, your city council, that does not enact a law or substantive rule and is simply used to make known what the opinions of that body are in relation to a certain fact or an event. So basically, what you're looking at is it's a way for a body to express approval or disapproval of something where the elected officials have no authority over, right? Like city council has no authority in any way to say anything about the Israel Hamas conflict. So, I don't want to say to get around it, but in order to be able to show what what their opinions are in a very formal manner, they can pass a resolution. So it's just basically a way of giving your opinion in a formal manner. That's really all it is. There's no teeth to it. There's like nobody's going to get in trouble if there's no law. There's nothing that can be imposed upon the people. It's just a group of people saying, "Here's our approval or disapproval of this thing or this person." Right? It's really that simple. So now we're going to look at this resolution here. In this resolution, it doesn't really have a title; it's more of a number. So it's 2023 0742, and again, it passed 16 yays, one nay, Ron Salem, which we'll get to in a moment, and then two people were excused. So let's go ahead and pull this resolution up on the screen, and we're going to take a look at it. We're going to read through it, and let's see, share that one. And how about there? That works. All right. So here's what the resolution says. Now I'm going to read most of it, not all of it. It's only 2 pages, but it starts off and it says a resolution in support of Israel as it defends itself in the war launched by the terrorist organization Hamas, requesting emergency passage upon introduction, providing an effective date. So these are the three things. Like sometimes in this section here, it will be very long. Like it could end up being like a huge paragraph. In this particular case, it's literally only three things separated by a semicolon. So the first thing is, hey, there's this resolution that we want. Then they're requesting an emergency passage upon introduction. And I believe the reason for that is because the events in Israel took place on a Saturday. City council meeting was on Tuesday, and in order to get it onto the schedule and able to for the city council members to vote, they had to request an emergency passage to help expedite it, basically, and then provide an effective date. So, like when does this go into effect? All right, so we're going to read through it here. Now, remember, in one of my past videos, I explained the different parts of a bill. The whereas is basically kind of laying a foundation of why. Why is this bill or this resolution necessary? What are the facts of the matter? And so in this case, it says, whereas early Saturday, militants from Gaza fired a deadly barrage of rockets and sent gunmen into southern Israel territory into a large scale surprise assault that killed hundreds of Israeli citizens. Okay. Whereas innocent civilians, including women and children, have been targeted, taken hostage, injured, and murdered in this series of attacks, including hundreds of concert attendees at the Tribe of Nova Trance Music Festival near Kibbutz Rimat, I think is how you say it, a tribal journey where the essence of unity and love combines forces with the best music, according to the festival's website. Okay. Whereas at least 9 Americans have been killed in the attacks. Whereas on Sunday, Israel declared war against Hamas, the Palestinian militant group based in Gaza, and whereas Jacksonville stands with Israel and condemns these terrorist acts. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Jacksonville, Section 1. The City of Jacksonville hereby mourns lives lost through these violent acts and stands unequivocally allied with Israel as it defends itself in the war launched by the terrorist organization Hamas. Section 2, requesting emergency passage upon introduction pursuant to Council Rule 4.901. Basically, here we're just outlining the rule that allows them to expedite it. And then section 3, effective date, this resolution shall become effective upon signature by the mayor or upon becoming effective without the mayor's signature. All right. And that's it. So this is the resolution. It's very, very simple. Not a whole lot to it. I will say this, as somebody who's been kind of critical of the Israeli response, and it's not really, it's not that in my previous videos, I pointed out Israel has the right to defend themselves. As somebody who considers himself an anti-war activist or just anti-war, I'm not so much the activist. I do not approve of indiscriminate killing of civilians. So that has been a big, major thing for me. One of the things that I feel like this resolution leaves out is any kind of support for innocent people in Palestine. So I think that city council has failed massively on that matter. And I think maybe I'll send them a letter, and just let them know that I think this was, a disaster of a resolution, because it doesn't say anything. It talks about the innocent people that were killed in Israel, which is fine. I have no issue with that. But it leaves out the innocent people in Palestine. And so I think that's inexcusable on our city councils. Now, let's go on. What's going on here? Well, Ron Salem was the lone no vote. Interestingly, he is of Palestinian descent. So you would think, well, that makes sense. He's of Palestinian descent. He may not want to vote on this particular resolution, especially given how it's worded. It's worded heavily in favor of Israel with no reference whatsoever to any innocent lives outside of Israel. So it excludes any innocent Palestinian lives. One might think that would make sense. One would think that would make very much sense that a Palestinian or a city council member who is of Palestinian descent would not vote for it. So here's what brought my attention to it. Where's that item here? There we go. And let's pull that up real quick. So let me show you the tweet that caught my attention. And this is by local news reporter A.G. Gankarski, I believe is how you say his name. So here's his tweet. He said, "The wildest byproduct of the conflict in Israel locally has been this weird attempt to villainize Ron Salem." So from WOKV News, Action News Jax has obtained email sent by Council President Ron Salem to a supporter of his vote against an Israel resolution that read, "God bless you. Appreciate your comments." Goodness, how could he do that? How could he send an email? But the story is just so bizarre to me, because, like, why do you obtained an email that said, "God bless you. Appreciate your comments." Okay. Like, there's not a lot there in my opinion, but I guess if that's what you need to fill up the time for news, there was no other news in Jacksonville that was more pressing than finding the email, them obtaining the emails. Now, I think there were all altogether like 14 emails that were sent to Mr. Salem for over his vote. So, so that alerted me to it, and then I started doing a little digging. And then I came across this article from Action News Jax, and it's titled "Council President Salem emails God bless you to supporter of his vote against Israel resolution." Like, okay, no big deal. So let's take a look at this there we go. Let's take a look at this story here. So Council President Ron Salem emails God bless you. Okay. Action News Jax has obtained an email sent by Council President Ron Salem to a supporter of his vote against an Israel resolution that read, "God bless you. I appreciate your comments." I go, again, this is weird because this is October 16th. So this is yesterday. So this is the news they saw fit to write. And this is by Ben Becker here. Okay. So Action News Jax first reported on October 10th that Jacksonville City Council passed the resolution introduced by Council member Nick Howland. It showed support for Israel and condemned the Hamas terrorist attacks by a 16-1 vote. Salem was the only council member to vote no. All right. No big deal here. Like we're just stating the facts. That's fine. The attack resulted in more than 1,300 deaths in Israel, including women and children of all nationalities, leading to an Israeli response to root out Hamas in Gaza, where nearly 3,000 people have died. Okay, again, still talking facts. Now we get the email in question is one of 14 sent to Salem by his constituents that were acquired by Action News Jack's Ben Becker through a public records request. Okay, look, I'm all in favor of public records request. We should always be looking to see what our city council is up to. We should always be holding them accountable. That is the job of the news media, in my opinion, right? Like, and I think that they tend to do it tends to vary whether or not they're doing their job. Sometimes I feel like they're giving them softballs, and sometimes I feel like they're really digging in and saying, okay, let's hold you accountable. Your feet fire right here. But in this particular case, I have to wonder, like, what is your motivation here to go and get a public records request for something that, in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people could agree easily, should be the obvious. He's of Palestinian descent. Of course, he might vote no because he might have family that lives in Palestine. Why would you vote yes on a resolution that could end up killing distant family members? So, anyway, continue on. One email demands Salem resign as council president, while another states, I voted for you, but will never do so again. Okay, you know what? Maybe the records request wasn't so bad because this is absurd. Resign as council president? He's not obligated to vote yes. And it's a resolution. As I mentioned earlier, a resolution is just a way to kind of bloviate your opinion on something that you have no authority over. That's really all it is. It's just stating your opinion in a formal way. There's nothing there. There's nothing for anybody to do. There's no tax increase. There's nothing, there's no obligation on the city. There is literally nothing. Nothing happens from this. Right. And I don't mean to downplay, don't get me wrong. I'm not downplaying because it's Israel. I'm downplaying all of resolutions. Resolutions in general, they have no teeth. So in general, they're nothing more than we approve, we disapprove of this thing. That's it. So the idea that he should step down because he didn't agree, because he's of Palestinian descent, is absurd. So I don't know who this person is that sent it. And then another person, I voted for you, but will never do so again. Really? That's what it that's what it was? That's what's gonna get you to not vote for him again, is the fact that he didn't support a resolution that may end up causing, that supports the potential death of maybe family members. That is what will cause you it's not anything like, when they vote for taxes or something related to Jacksonville that has some actual teeth. No, that wasn't it. No, no. What's going to cause somebody to not vote for this man again is the fact that he didn't support a resolution. This is absurd. All right. There were two emails that supported Salem, and he only responded to one that was sent on October 12th. Here's what it said. Council President Salem, I commend you for your courage in opposing CM Howland's naive proposal in support of Israel. It demonstrates his utter lack of knowledge of history and the suffering the Palestinians have endured at the hands of the Israelis. Promise after promise, accord after accord, and treaty after treaty have been ignored by the Zionist government against the state of Palestine. Judging the people of Palestine by the works of a group of extremists is like judging all of the United States based on the actions of white supremacists. Hold fast, sir. All right, the last part of it, I kind of agree with, right? Like I don't know that I would call it a naive proposal. I mean, it is a resolution that just says, hey, in this particular instance, we support Israel defending itself, which I agree as well. I agree that Israel has the right to defend themselves against Hamas. So I have no issue with that portion of it. My only issue with this resolution here in Jacksonville is that they excluded any mention of innocent civilians on the Palestinian side. That is a big deal for me. Um, and I don't think we really like, I'm not really big into some of these buzzwords like Zionist government and all that. So I don't really care about that so much. Judging the people of Palestine by the work of a group of extremists, I think that's a very fair point. You might remember, and I'm trying to remember which episode it was. It was only a couple of episodes ago, but I pointed out that Palestine was voted in 2006, and they got 44% of the vote. Now, they ended up getting the majority of the seats, but they only got a plurality of the votes. So they did not get the majority. They didn't break, 50% plus one. They only got 44%. And Fatah, who was the second biggest group that got votes, they were in the 44% too. I think it was like 45% for Hamas and 44% for Fatah, I think is what it was exactly. And then some other groups basically made up the rest of the popular vote. Okay. And so it is true. Like Hamas was elected by only a small portion of the people. And remember, that's the voting population. And that's not just the the whole voting population. It is the voting population who actually went to vote. So there may have been people that were sick. There may be people that were just like Americans and who said, you know what? To heck with voting. Not going to change a thing. So why bother? Right? So this 44% isn't even 44% of the people, nor is it 44% of the adult population. So it's probably less. Now, how much less? I really don't know. Okay. So I don't really have a big issue with the email. Besides, this is just somebody saying, hey, I support you, and here's the reasons why. And that's fine. And don't get me wrong. You can vote. I mean, you can send an email to your councilman or woman for anything that you want. I totally support that 100%. That doesn't mean that I won't criticize it, but I support it. And everybody should be able to send an email, and they should send emails to their city council member on a regular basis. Though I would hope if they're going to talk about the council member resigning as council president, that they might do it over something more important that's related to Jacksonville. Our city council members were voted into office so that they could manage and lead Jacksonville, right? The resolution regarding Israel is just their approval, disapproval. That's it. And it may not even be approval, disapproval of the event itself. It may be a disagreement. Like we don't know why he voted no. He might have read it and come to a similar conclusion and said, hey, this excludes innocent civilians on Palestine side. Or it might have been that he just is really sympathetic to the Palestinian people altogether, 100%. I don't know. All right. So Salem wrote back later shortly saying, God bless you. I appreciate your comments. It's been a tough day or two. This is ridiculous. It shouldn't have been a tough day or two. It should have been like no big deal. Of all things, this is what, and there are multiple articles on this. Like there's videos of it and there's articles on it. I'm like, all right, why is this issue getting so much attention? And of course, I guess I can't criticize it too much because now I'm giving it attention, but because of other people giving it negative attention. I don't know. Maybe I'm a hypocrite there. So it makes a bit of sense. He's Palestinian. University of North Florida political science professor Dr. Michael Binder said. Let's see here. So Becker, the news reporter, asked Binder, "Do you think this is something that could hurt him long term?" In Jacksonville, not really, Binder said. This isn't Boca Raton. We're 1% Jewish, maybe. I do not know what was in his heart when he cast that ballot. That's the point. We don't know what's in his heart. And he hasn't said. And nor do I think it matters. I think it should be relatively obvious that he's of Palestinian descent. So I would have assumed if you would have said, like, I wasn't aware of this because I was busy focusing on other things. But if I had realized that this vote was coming up in city council and somebody had said, what do you think, Mr. Salem, how do you think he will vote? I would have said, well, he's of Palestinian descent. I expect him probably to vote no. I would have guessed that from the very beginning. All right. Now we're getting into some interesting parts here. According to the Anti-Defamation League website, using rhetoric like Zionist government, quote, villainizes the vast majority of Jews around the world who identify with Zionism or feel a connection or a kinship with Israel, regardless of their individual views on Israeli policies, end quote. So now we've went from, remember, this is a news article. They did a public records request. They found an email where one supporter used the term Zionist government, and now they're quoting the ADL, right? Like they're trying to spin this to look like something racist, which is bizarre, right? And this is what caught my attention. And I think this is what gave AG Gankarski his thing. So let's go look at that real quick. Here it is. So he said the wildest byproduct of the conflict in Israel locally has been the weird attempt to villainize Ron Sands. And like this looks like what this article is doing by Mr. Becker over there at Action News Jax, because they're not just reporting the facts. This is what we have to pay attention to, folks. When we read an article, we have to determine like what information are they presenting? Because you might think of it as like the sin of omission, right? What are they omitting? If you start putting all of a certain fact in and you leave out other facts, or you weigh heavily on certain facts, then it looks like you have this idea that you're trying to present to people that you want to leave them with. So that's what I feel like is going on here. Is like they did this public, like they're making this big stink, made this whole article, and they're quoting the ADL over somebody who's supporting him for voting in a particular way on a resolution that has no teeth. All right, let's continue back on with that article. Let's go back to that. All right, where are we? All right. So let's see here. Let's see. Becker, now this is a funny part. I like this. Becker texted Salem to request an interview about his response to the email, but he declined, saying, "No one believes I think that," with Salem adding, "I'm done with you." Now, here's what's interesting. Becker texted Salem to request an interview. Now, they've done a public records request, and they read 14 emails. And they had no problem quoting Mr. Salem. But notice we don't have the text that Becker sent to Mr. Salem. Becker texted Salem. Well, what was the content of that text? I mean, look, Mr. Becker, since this is an important thing, you wrote a whole article on it. What is it? What did you send him? And the reason I ask that is because look at what Mr. Salem responded. "No one believes I think that." Think what? What is it? If we're holding people accountable and we're putting all our cards on the table, then I want to know, what is it that was suggested that people think? "No one believes I think that." Think what? What was it, Mr. Becker, that you sent that suggested he thinks? I want to know. You're making a big stink of it. So fine. Let's put our cards on the table. You're going to be the media. You're going to put it out there. Then be honest. Let us know. Otherwise, maybe you have an agenda. I don't know. And then with that, Salem added, "I'm done with you." Wow. What could have Mr. Becker said that invoked such a strong response from the city council member? "I'm done with you." Like, this doesn't happen if somebody's just reaching out and they're like, "Hey, I saw that you did a no vote. Did you have an issue with the resolution? Do you support more Palestine than you do Israel?" Like these would just be simple facts of the case, right? And this is what I would expect media to do if they felt like it was that important to write a whole article about, right? And report on, which I don't think so, but since they did, here we are. Okay, well then put out there. What is it? What is it that you were suggesting, Mr. Becker? What is it that you suggested that he might believe that got him to say, "I'm done with you"? Like, that's crazy. Anyway, as for Binder, he said Salem should be more transparent with his views. Okay, that's a fair criticism. If your city council member is going to use, quote, "the power of the vote," then I think it's fair to ask them and say, "Hey, why did you vote that way on anything?" I mean, if it comes up and you vote for it, then why did you vote that way, or why did you abstain? Right, like either one would work. Why did you vote yay? Why did you vote no or nay? Why did you vote abstain? Or you don't really vote to abstain, but you just abstain. I think that's a fair question. Although I don't think in this particular case it is all that necessary. I think they're making a big stink about nothing. This should be a nothing burger. I should have woke up this morning and been like, man, what else can I talk about? But no, actually, it was last night. But instead, I was like, how about I talk about this drama that's going on over a vote on a resolution? Binder goes on to say, if you're going to be voting on things, you should be able to explain them to your constituents, no matter what they are. Totally agree. I have no issue there. Now, here's here's something really funny. One unnamed member of city council told Becker they believe Salem should resign for failing to support the resolution without providing context because he's council president. Hmm. One unnamed member of city council. How convenient. I want to know who that is. And you know what? I won't get that answer because, as we have seen in this article, there is clearly this weird agenda. How did AG say it? This weird this weird attempt, just weird. I thought he had a different word. So there's this weird attempt to villainize Mr. Salem. Like, why won't he be more transparent? Why won't he tell us why he voted the way he did as a Palestinian on a resolution that has no teeth, that was totally one-sided to Israel and totally disregarded any innocent civilians on the Palestinians? Why would he vote no? Man, I have no idea. What could it be? I have no idea. Anyway, so I just wanted to bring some attention to this because maybe this is happening in your city. And folks, I get it. This is Jacksonville. Maybe you're living in a different city and you don't care about Jacksonville, but these kind of things happen in cities, and it's up to you to be on the ball and keeping up, because maybe you need to go and defend your council president and say, hey, y'all need to chill out, like relax. This was a resolution. It had zero teeth to it. Okay. And let's be honest, we know what's really going on here. This is Republicans. Like, when it comes to Israel, and I'm going to say something, maybe this is controversial, maybe it's not. But when it comes to Israel, Republicans, they have a tendency to, drawing a blank on the word that I wanted. They, oh, I lost my word. They, I forgot the word that I wanted to use. And it was right there on the tip of my tongue. And hopefully, if I just keep saying a few more words, that word will come back, but it doesn't seem to be coming to me. But at any rate, they like to virtue signal. That's what I was looking for. So Republicans virtue signal when it comes to Israel. Like, it doesn't even matter what it is. They just, like, they virtue signal in the same way that they criticize the left for doing. And it's ridiculous. That's all this is. This is just virtue signaling, because in no way do the citizens of Jacksonville benefit from this resolution. In fact, it might be somewhat of a negative, because now we're arguing internally here about a council member's vote. And we're having this big problem. We got people that are saying he should step down. We've got council members who are so spineless and coward that they're unwilling to go on record. Look, I'm going to say this to my council members, all of them, okay, here in Jacksonville. I want to be very, very clear to you. As somebody that puts his voice out there, as somebody that's willing to get out and give his opinion on all kind of matters, right or wrong, you are an elected official. You have a duty to your constituents to not be a spineless coward. So if you're going to say something like, he should resign for failing to support the resolution without providing context because he's the council president. If you're going to make a strong statement like that, council member, then you need to stop being a spineless coward. Come out and let people know who you are. Put your name on the line. Because if you don't, well, I don't want to hear all this nonsense about who should resign. Maybe you should resign. And I'd tell you to your face if I knew who you were. Anyway, what did our mayor say about this? Well, turns out she actually had pretty good comment, and I have no issue with what the mayor said. So let's pull that up. Where were you? All right, here. Let's there we are. So here is the mayor's comment. It's in three parts here. All right. So Donna Deegan, our newly elected mayor, who I voted for, by the way, and I want to point out the reason that I voted for her, even though she's a Democrat, I can say this now because the election has passed. The reason that I voted for is because we have a strong Republican presence in the city council, and so what I wanted to do was hopefully kind of create a little bit of gridlock or a little bit of tension. Because to me, the less that city council does, the better. So the more divided that they can be, the better off, in my opinion. As a libertarian, when I hear things like, "Oh, the government's going to stop, going to shut down," I don't get too worried about that. I'm like, "Oh, well, that sounds like a good thing. You guys could use a break from passing all these stupid laws." Anyway, so what Donna Deegan said was, "I strongly condemn the terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel during this past holy weekend for the Jewish faith. I mourn the loss of of Israeli and American lives during the carnage that followed." And then she goes on to say, let's see here. Why are you not? There we go. She goes on to say, by taking women and children hostages, Hamas has engaged in unprecedented barbarism. I pray for the safe return of the Israeli and American hostages to their loved ones. I also mourn the loss of civilian Palestinian lives. Hmm. Despite this horrific violence, I remain hopeful that a peaceful resolution to this conflict can be found. Jacksonville stands in solidarity with our Jewish and Palestinian communities who have deep and enduring ties to the region. As mayor, I remain committed to the safety and well being of all our citizens. Well done, Mayor Deegan. I actually agree with that. Have no issue. And that statement right there is worth 50 of those nonsense resolutions that one, have zero teeth, but two, exclude innocent civilian lives, no matter which side they're on. In this particular case, the Palestinian side. So bravo to you, Mayor Deegan. Shame on you, City Council, for excluding the Palestinian lives that of civilians who are innocent. And shame on you, unnamed spineless coward who will not come out, put their name on the line when you want to call out another city council member and tell them that they should resign because they didn't give information about their vote. How about that? How about shame on you and maybe you should resign? All right. Where are we here? That's really all I got for today, folks. Was this a short? Yeah, not too bad. A little shorter than normal, but that's okay. All right. So let's get to this conclusion here. I'm okay with I'm okay with the idea of resolutions in general. I do think they need to be more complete. The one in Jacksonville was not complete, and I think the mayor, what she said, was absolutely perfect. I have no disagreement with what the mayor said. Agree 100%. Hope you do too. If you're listening in, if you're watching in, and you're from Jacksonville, keep up with your city council members. At any rate, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want you to be sure to catch me every morning, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Time, for an informed discussion on politics and culture. And then again on Sundays at 7 p.m. with my co host, Susan Hogarth, to discuss the LP happenings, LP Insider Baseball, if you will. Be sure to do all the proper audience things. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Where is that? Where is that? There we are. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and subscribe to me on Rumble as well. You can go to youtube.libertydad.com or you can go to rumble.libertydad.com. I know I keep promising that things are going to be happening on Rumble. I swear it's going to happen. Promise. We're getting there. A lot of work being a one-man band. But go there, go to those places, subscribe to my channel, like my videos, comment, follow me on X. It used to be Twitter, but now it's X. Follow me there, Liberty Dad Pod. Send me an email. Let me know what you think. LibertyDadPodcast@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. And finally, remember, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you tomorrow. For today, I'm out.